our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Intro.
No, played it.
Good day, everyone. First of all, I was just start by apologizing for some delays that we've been experiencing here in the studio. I think it's just the way the day is. And for the past 1 hour, we were not able to have access to go live up till now. So I do apologize for that delay. But today is a special show. Today we are mourning the death of our two daughters that were murdered on the continent this week. And so the little princess Kimora, on her way to school, was shot dead. And we also got news about this Agnes Tirop, all the way from Kenya, a celebrity, a star, an Olympic 2021 in Japan medallion, who was stabbed to death this week in her home. So tonight we want to share solidarity with the bereaved. We want to share condolences through our messages and to show them that we are one. Doesn't matter how difficult, how tense the situation is, we will go through this together just like any other thing. As you can already see, it's not well, but we know there's one thing, that anything that happens comes to give us a sign of some things that we have to fix. And so it's very sad that we lost them in this way. It's not only them. We're going through a lot of turmoil on the continent, in the diaspora, everywhere. It is the same story. If there's no war, then there's going to be an incident like this. We've been hearing the people of Southern Cameroon's cry for a long time now about the war that has been going on in this region. But like this incident also happened in Boya, which is in the southern regions of Cameroon. And you see, so the population is rising, people are rising up, and like exactly this is the system that we've been talking about. Anyway, today we are not on political discussions. Today we are not on what happened, why it happened. Today we're just here to share condolences with these families that are wailing out there, because one thing is certain: until we unite as Africans, we're going to cry and cry and cry. And now the elders are asking, people are asking, isn't it really time that Africa needs a spiritual cleansing? And so this week, we're going to be doing what we call a spirituality week on the Pan African Daily TV. So we're going to have speakers that will be coming and let us talk about this. We've been talking and consulting with elders about this tragedy. It's like, even though we know that death is death everywhere, it can happen, but in Africa, it is almost like a doorbell ringing. And then it's not just that, like what we're talking about this evening, or the condolences that we're sharing this evening, has something to really do with Mother Africa. And so we ask ourselves a lot of questions. What is happening? If there is war, if there is rape, it's going to be the face of a woman or a girl child that is raped. If there is war, it's going to be, if they're burning houses like they're doing in Southern Cameroon and every other conflict areas, you're going to see it's always going to be grandmothers, right? What is going on? What is really happening? Isn't it time that we begin to think and see the signs in the air and ask questions. Why does the world call the earth Mother Earth even? Why is Africa's mother always in pain, always in tears? Why is the black woman always in pain, in whatever? If he's not stabbed to death, then somebody's just gonna kill him. And we know a lot of voices that are rising on the continent. One thing that is very certain is we can never develop Africa when we don't share the pain with one another. And so we expect, of course, want to thank all of you that have been sharing your condolences and, dropping messages. I mean, the whole social media has been black. But then I asked myself, people going around asking Black Friday or Black Thursday yesterday, why black? Is it everything that has to do with negativity black? So these are all narratives and spirits that we have to change. So we are going to share messages. You can call into the studio because today is just one of those days. Um, I don't know where to begin as a mother, as a daughter, as a grandmother, even, right? Where do you stand when we look at all these crazy images, terrible, heartbreaking images on the streets of Boya, southern Cameroon? It is insane. It is insane. The blood on the continent is too much. I mean, we know about the West, about how, the Holocaust in Germany or in the wars that killed millions of people. Yeah. And we ask ourselves, 400 plus years into slavery, into colonization, isn't it enough blood? Wars every day. We cry. I mean, we don't even know how to say, if they're not murdering our leaders, there is the diseases, if we're not killing one another. So what is going on? I think it's time that we have to go back and search ourselves alive spiritually and ask ourselves, what actually is going on? Are we just doing something? Are these signs that something is not acting right? Are we living some other people's way of life? Are we following their spirituality instead of our own? What is it that is actually ours? Or what is it that we really have done to the Creator? I mean, we don't hear stories like this anywhere. We do know that people die. Nobody's going to stay without dying, but we hear of accidents and stuff like that. Of course, this one is also, in that case, an accident or whatever. It is hard to even begin to pour a blame on whoever did what. It's just difficult. It's just difficult to point fingers. I just think it's about something that we're just not getting it, and that we have to come together. Probably our brokenness, our disunity is enough sign to show us that there are things that will really happen. And it's time calling us together, that until we unite, until we feel the pain of one another the way it's supposed to be, then maybe, just maybe, we could begin to talk about these things. So 5 years, 6 years, we saw her grandmother on the street wailing, empty body. I mean, there's just some crazy videos or pictures. Even the way Princess Kimora was laid was buried. But then when you look at all this, you meditate, you ask yourself, does it even really matter? Does it matter whether she had to be given, like we're saying, a state burial? For what? A state burial? If you look at the wailing of the mother, and the whole crowd will be sharing some videos with you, you ask yourself, what kind of burial? We hear people posting, Africans, oh, she deserves a befitting. What is a befitting burial? I know we are hurt. And like a mother, no one is so hurt like a mother. Probably, yes, we do understand it's a pain of everybody. But like I said, a mother accompany your child to school early morning, and you tell stories and you laugh and joke. You never know. You see the princess, how beautiful, how cute, and the bullet ripped her head off. What is it telling us, Africans, mothers, particularly mothers, women? The signs are too much for us to blame. The signs are just too much for us to begin to point fingers. When whoever shot her dead, it's already his own. But there's something somewhere. And so we want to dwell this week on cleansing the land. There's been too much blood. How much blood do we need to unite? How many voices will stand for the oppressed? How many of us even just care? It is buried yesterday and life goes on tomorrow, and we jump on the streets and like, okay, we've done our own, and we write, particularly these days on digital platforms, we write rest in peace and so and share some tears, and then that's all. Do we really think deeply? Do we reflect, why are these things happening? Why must it happen to us? So we want to reflect with elders. We want to talk to spiritual people. And so we have a guest in the studio today. She's a goddess. Yeah. I mean, a visionary. The churches will call her. She's a man of God or woman of God. And in the African traditions, we call her Sangoma, like in Southeastern African region. And you see, or some religious body will call her prophet. So she's a Sangoma. She's also going to be telling us things that she's been thinking that we need to do about cleansing our land. But like I said, we're just here today to share this moment of condolences with the bereaved. We're here to send messages of hope, and that our sister in Cameroon is not alone, and the family in Kenya is not alone. I mean, you can imagine a young girl at 25, Agnes Tripod. 25, and she won the medal, and she carried the Olympia, and everybody could see her face with the medal, kissing it, going down and praying to God. And she's been stabbed to death. We don't see the voices on the continent talking about that because she's a woman, she's a girl. What is it that we actually even spend time talking about, as a matter of fact? If things like this will not really hurt us, what do we spend time saying we're building Africa? What Africa are we building? If the girl child would still be, the mothers will wail every night. The grandmothers would naked themselves, go on the street. And they're the grandmothers of who? Of the leaders, isn't it? They're the grandmothers of who? So they're the grandmothers that these leaders and presidents and governments and systems just existed without grandmothers, without mothers, without women, without a girl child, without a sister-in-law, without a mother-in-law. What does the word mother actually means? And I think until Africa would get this right, probably that is the reason, that is the sign that we're not listening to Mother Africa. We shoot our own children, and sometimes it's life as usual. We kill them. Baby Martha, 18 months, bust the head up, and it's okay. We're at war, and people take it. Yes, we're at war. What does that mean? We're at war. I think, or we've been thinking, our spirituality is at risk here. It's on attack. We are in a war, yes, but probably in another kind of a war than what we're just thinking. To raise a child up, grow up one morning, she's not there. Grandmothers are burned. It's like, we don't have a feeling. We're not humans anymore. Blood is like a paint, and there's life in the blood. And every soul that is departing, and you watching me sitting here, it's not going to be long. You're going to depart. What is it that we live for? If human life doesn't make sense, doesn't mean anything, if it is okay just to shoot somebody for 76 cents in the name of security, how did our parents, our ancestors live with this kind of systems? How? Protecting what? Controlling what? So you see a child going to school, understand? And everybody's a suspect. We hate each other until even a daughter becomes a victim. It's a suspect. We are afraid of a child. I'm all in uniform, having bullets, live bullets, even at the control checkpoint. When did this happen to us, Africa? Live bullets at a control checkpoint. You have a live bullet. So you're ready to kill. It's intentional that I went there for a purpose. Whoever. It hurts. How much more? How much more? These are things that we should be talking about every day. And just keep our mouth shut about how we want to build each other. We want to build a continent without building each other. When life doesn't mean anything. So who are you building a continent for? Who are you building a country for? Who is it that you want to put peace for? To live with robots? Animals? Africa, we have to wake up. There is just something. Our spirituality is under attack. And particularly Mother Africa, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, whoever you call the goddess, the creator, is under attack. Probably that's the wars we should be talking about. And this, what is happening in our land, on our continent, are symptoms. It's just symptoms of what we see. And we keep blaming hurting each other. The guy that killed Agnes has been caught. It's her husband. And so what? How much more would her life mean again? Yes. And we go into this political systems and structure. Oh, he's going to go to court and stand judgment. Give me a break. For what? If you ask the mother of Kimora, what should we do with these people? Do you think she's going to tell you, kill all of them? For what? What value? The whole world is mourning, and I'm so grateful. I saw people change their profiles. But the one thing that actually burned my heart was when I didn't even realize that even this Agnes is not the first case in Kenya. When we were doing the research, there are a lot of women that have been murdered like that. And all of them are doing well. And by their own. Of course, so the trauma in us is too much. Where do we want to start? And we sing and dance samba. Of course, life must go on. Our condolences to all the bereaved and those that are mourning in every corner of the world that you are. We know that we're here, we're transiting. And I want to really bring our attention to the fact that we are not mourning them. It's unfortunate. We are not mourning Princess Kimora or Agnes Tripo. No, sorry. You should be mourning. We should be mourning ourselves. That is the true meaning of cry die in the African pidgin language of Southern Cameroons, cry die. Today is our cry die. It means I'm not crying the person that is gone. It's gone. She's transited. She has no problem, nothing. But the pain of those that leave behind is who we cry. Right? So we gather on and cry the die of our sister, the mother of Kimora, and the family of Agnes, and all those that are mourning. Because two things in our cultures, in our traditions, like we're saying, there are two things that are very important. And if you're African and these two things don't mean anything again to you, then you begin to question actually who you are. It is the birth of a child and the transition and the passing away. These are two fundamental key points that we come together. We can come and dance and celebrate, but they are two things that bring peace and unity and love and reconciliation, irrespective of who does what. Because these are two factors that are irreplaceable in human nature. How much cry would people in Cameroon, and particularly in southern Cameroon's cry? How much tears? It is not only happening there. But the case of Southern Cameroon is a particular case. We know about rioting, killings, we know. But in this case, babies, grandmothers, that is when we begin to think it's a spirit. There's something about the spirituality of this continent. And probably the solution would have to come from the Southern Cameroons. We've never seen such gruesome death being celebrated in public. If our sisters are not being heads chopped off, pulled on the street, they're torn naked, they kill babies and grandmothers. It's a target group. It's a target group that is targeted, right? Of course, we can talk about gender is not anything in our culture. We didn't know gender. Of course, it does. We've seen it. Who's talking about baby Kimora? Have you seen it anywhere? Who are the voices speaking about this? Where are they? Developing Africa? Where is the president of Kenya and the whole community of Kenya when she pulled the flag and she won a medal for her country, not even for her family, and carried that flag? Where have we seen that? Probably our energy should be redirected to our unity, our love, and just to know that each and every one of us, we're passing away, whether we like it or not. Type the rest in peace as much as you can. And even catch up life and say, oh, life is too short. Let me live my life today. It doesn't make any difference whether you live 100 or you live 4 or you live 5. We're going to pass away. And the day you pass away, it's just going to be like you lived for a day, because we forget. Can you remember what happened yesterday? And even if you remember, it's just a memory. It doesn't live with you all along. So it's time for us to get consciousness, gain a consciousness. Let's just sit sometimes, maybe, like we said, put out all the light in Africa. Let Africa just be a black continent, and let's just bring back everything the way our ancestors lived. It was love. It was unity. We didn't have to get all these structures. We didn't have to know all these colonial boundaries that we're fighting today. Never was our portion. Where did we start with all this? Where are we going to end with? We're one people. If we don't know it from our history, at least we know it from our color. At least we know it from our food. We know it from our dance. We know it from the way we laugh and smile. If we don't even know it, so let Africa really break down and redefine itself again, because we're fighting to keep things that never belonged to us. And so all this stuff's happening. It was not an accident, people. She didn't die in a car accident. She didn't sleep on her bed in Kenya and woke up with a heart attack. She was murdered. What is the way forward? I thank all of you for signing in, for joining. I thank of all of you that are watching wherever you are. It was really that kind of a moment where we could not even do anything, no single thing, nothing is working, and you can see even our strength, nothing. It's just like the only time that we think Africa is at peace with itself, something would have to happen to trigger us. But what are the things that matters to us? That's the point. What is it that is our culture? In our culture, in the village, one falls down, everybody will gather around. You would hear the news everywhere. My only problem is, are we listening? I don't even know how to share with that sister when I saw this image. And we all saw it. When we saw the crowd that came out and said, kill all of us. Just kill us. Is there even any reason? That is the spirit of oneness. Probably we have to transport this spirit. Of course, every African should be waking up because they murdered our brother. 2020, the whole world rose up. How many we have been killed, murdered, betrayed, broken down, grandmothers? The world doesn't rise up. Why? We don't respect Mother Africa. They will cry every day. We don't listen to our mothers. We murder them in their sleep. And we want to rule a continent. We'll cry blood every day on our hands. They are our mothers. Doesn't matter. They are our children. They are our daughters. It is a shame. I don't even know how to qualify it if there's anything. I just want to get this princess here who probably maybe will tell us what is it that we have to do. And this week, we'll be having a lot of them. We'll be having King Maponga Joshua coming here to say, our spirituality is at war. Africans need, Africa and the whole continent need cleansing. We need to clean the land. The continent is too much blood. We're not living in our own space. We don't even know who we are. We don't even know who our God is. We don't. The creator, we don't. So, what is it? So I would like our sister to join us here. If you want to call, if you want to share a comment, please just drop a comment. We'll share it on. But after the conversation, we're going to open lines. You can call and just give a word, what comes from your heart to this family. If not, we're using your voices collectively on the Pan-African Daily to share our condolence on this continent, but also to think and say, how much more blood are we going to shed by ourselves? How much killings do we need to be free? From colonial times, from slavery, and now from us to us. How much more? Now they are children from us again. So I would like to have the sister in the studio, and so we can open up the conversation. Maybe she has something that would actually give us a way ahead. And I think that should be our focus, because after the spirituality week, what we're going to do, we're going to plan what we call the World Africa Day of Prayer and Meditation and Fasting in December. It's going to be a week or 2 weeks, every corner on the continent. There's been some cleansing to do. We have to do it. We have to go back to our Creator to ask for whatever things that we need to cleanse, to fix. I'm very happy our goddess is here. She will give us a little bit of orientation. What is it that we should be doing now on the continent for the Black race, for the African? What is it that we need to do? Welcome to this show, my princess.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much for being here. I'm so sorry for the technical delays and stuff. We were also just waiting. And are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I actually want to start off whenever you're ready. I can start.
We're ready. We were just waiting for you and trying to
Okay.
build the community. I mean, we are in a kind of what we call, I don't know. You heard these stories out there yesterday. A 5 years, 6 years, as to say, daughter of us was going to school and was shot on the street at a control point by a
Mm,
gendarme in Cameroon, southern
mm,
Cameroon, Korea particularly. And it has been a pain. It has been
mm,
too much. And this is not the first case. Mothers are being burned because they're in this war conflict zone area. And not only that, we're also having,
mm, mm,
a sister that was stabbed to death in Kenya. This is not the first
mm,
case. I mean, it's happening everywhere. These are cases that we know. And
mm,
we asking question, what is the problem? What is it? What time are we living in? Is our spirituality under attack? How
mm,
much more do we, how much blood do we need to sacrifice?
mm.
How, what should we do? How
Okay.
should we do?
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll get started. Let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Renetta, and for some reason, I've been given these gifts where I can see things for what they really are
Mhm.
and what's really happening. Now, the problem is, I'm going to have religious people who are probably going to call me a witch, but I don't care. Everyone in the chat, press one if you want the truth. If you don't want the truth, now may be the right time to leave because I'm going to bring you the truth, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not. You need the truth because the truth is the only thing that can set you free. Before I start with what's going on the African continent, let me start with Tirop. Tirop, okay,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going to read her spirit, Tirop, okay?
Mhm.
When I looked at the picture that was sent to me, this young woman was born to be an Olympian, okay?
Mhm.
There were forces outside of Kenya that did not want her to succeed. They were able to manipulate her husband using technology. I am going to give you the truth, whether you like it, whether you believe it, whether you understand it, or whether you don't. This young lady was to be an Olympian. The forces outside of Kenya used sophisticated weapons to manipulate her husband, who, and this is not the first time, from what my spirit tells me, it's not the first time he hit her out of jealousy. What I'm picking up from his spirit was that he was jealous. His jealousy overcame him. However, it wasn't just jealousy, it was the occult and technology as well. That technology is through devices like the smartphone, okay,
Mhm.
which can manipulate the brain waves. Much of the killing in Africa, as with the war in Rwanda, as with the war in Sierra Leone, as with the uprisings in South Africa, as with the war in Liberia, all of which was sophisticated alien technology. If you go back in history, the Rwandan people and the Liberian people said after the war was over, when they turned on the radio, it was as if people became possessed and went into a killing spree. Those of you who are from Liberia and those of you who are from
Okay, I think we're gonna be getting all these kind of interruptions. Just bear with us. Like I said, even before we arrived at this point, it was a war. We couldn't go live for no reason we don't understand. So, all right, I think she's back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm back. So you see, I'm telling the truth. These weapon systems have been used for the past 100 years and tested on the African people and made the African people believe it is witchcraft. It is not just witchcraft, it is sophisticated weapon systems known as radio frequencies and directed energy weapons and microwave weapons. These weapons are directed from space. These weapons are also the weapons that are used when you hear about in the middle of the jungle or in the middle of a outside of the city, in the middle of a tribe, all of a sudden there's some strange disease that breaks out. And all of this, a sudden, the people who live there for thousands of years, if not millions of years, have to run from their land because of some crazy disease brought there by medical missionaries. They have to leave that land. It is because the people who control the weapon systems found resources under the ground of these people, send in medical missionaries to drive the people out of the land, to seize the resources, and then murder the inhabitants of the land. Now, to answer your question in tense, these weapons were not originally human weapons. These are alien-based systems. And when I say alien, I don't mean foreigner. I mean different races from other planets that have contracts with governments such as the United States, governments in Europe, governments with NATO, governments with China, government contracts with the United States, NATO, the European Union, and China. These weapon systems are deployed against unsuspecting human populations. For example, when we look at what happened in South Africa recently, where the South Africans heard a news report about a former president going to jail, and all of a sudden, the South African people decide to burn down their whole country so they could stand online for food. Think, people. Think. Why would you burn down your groceries, loot your groceries, and after you've consumed your groceries, now you have to stand online for months to get food? No. Some power, who are the Nazis who control South Africa, and they never left, and the Nazis who were kicked out of Zimbabwe and destroyed Zimbabwe because they were kicked out, the Nazis who control South Africa had treaties with extraterrestrial races. These extraterrestrial races, evil extraterrestrial races, gave the Nazis alien technology. The Nazis did not lose World War II. They went underground, and now today, under the guise of the fake pandemic, are taking over planet Earth. It is not the communists who are taking over planet Earth, it is the Nazis. And one of the strongholds of the Nazis is South Africa. When you want to understand what is taking place on the continent of Africa, you must include the Nazi domination of the continent via their headquarters in South Africa. And they are using space-based weaponry along with lab-created diseases to exterminate and or manipulate the human population. Why? If you research former Nazi children super soldiers, such as David Marrow and James Casbolt, they will tell you, and they did in many of their videos before they were killed and or jailed, they said, I did not say this, they said that the Nazis, in their Ubermensch ideology, their Superman ideology, believe that the number one race they must take out first is the strongest race. I did not say it. This is what they said. And that race in America they believe they must target first are blacks. And that race outside of the United States they believe they must target are blacks. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that every Caucasian person is a Nazi? No. Because when you understand World War II, the majority of people murdered by the Nazis were Caucasian. Okay, it wasn't the Jews, it was Caucasians. Why? Because Nazism is a bloodline. It is not a skin color. Are you following? It is a bloodline and not a skin color. They go by genetics first. Now let's go back to this genetics and understanding what's taking place on this planet. But let me finish reading about Tirop. Tirop was taken out by an international conspiracy outside of the United States. She was murdered by a group who act like a mafia in international track and field. Spiritually speaking, astrologically speaking, this young woman was supposed to dominate and win marathons and smash records. Her life was cut short because the running mafia wanted her killed as a sacrifice. And her husband was used to do it. This is what took place. Okay? Now, what I'm seeing is that her husband, from what I can guess, he's very slim and thin. I am seeing that her husband, it looks like he has some sort of oppression of the mind. Because I keep seeing him holding his head like he was being oppressed. So it is very easy to influence someone like that who has insecurity, number one, and number two, who is mentally oppressed. Now combine that with sophisticated alien technology and an international mafia that deals in the occult, you would understand why this superstar was murdered. Now, to understand why you're grieving over the constant bloodshed, you have to stop looking at the bloodshed from a human perspective. Is everyone following me?
We hear it. My goddess.
Okay. Every time someone gets killed, you automatically assume it is human killing another human. But when you understand how this world operates, because of the introduction of shedding blood, you would begin to understand why there is senseless killing. I am going to say something where I'm going to be hated, but those who are wise will listen. And those who are deaf will have their ears stopped up. Bloodshed was not originally a form or a spiritual practice on this earth. Bloodshed was brought to earth. And the way in which these extraterrestrial races convinced the human race to accept bloodshed was to disguise it in the form of religion. Is anyone following what I'm trying to show you?
We're there.
Okay. I want you for a second, audience, to think above and beyond your human limitations. Think above and beyond what you've been taught in school and what you've been taught in religion, or what you've been taught as so-called historical practices. Bloodshed was not originally on this planet. It was brought here. And it was brought here as a form of control and as a form of transference of karmic debt. Do you understand?
Mm.
If you do not have shedding of blood, whether it is killing, unjust killing, extrajudicial killing, occult killing, spiritual killing, sacrificial bloodshed, etc., etc., these races who are not human would not be able to control the human race. And the human race can then be on a path of elevation without their control. So what they did is they circumvented the timeline of the human race by introducing a limitation on human growth. Whenever blood is shed, the human race becomes stunted. Whenever blood is shed, the human race cannot evolve at the rate at which they should be evolving.
Ashe.
Thus, the reason why they implemented bloodshed. So, whenever bloodshed occurs, watch what happens to the human. If someone kills another human and sheds that blood, the people or the creatures or the entity who introduced the bloodshed to the human race does not get blamed. What ends up happening is the human only blames the other human.
Mm.
And what happens is that there's a devolution, because once the blood goes into the soil, the blood begins to communicate in the soil. Blood is not dead. Are you following?
Mm.
Blood is not dead. It lives on forever. And when a land is drenched in blood, I'm going to teach you something. and you're Africans, you know this. When a land is drenched in blood, it creates portals for entities to come through and to rule. Are you beginning to understand what's taking place? So, what they do is they remove human leaders. I'm going to say this again. Africa's problem is not bad leaders. Africa's problem is that many of their rulers are not human. Do you want the truth, or do you want sophisticated lies? Europe's problem is not bad leadership. Europe has never known freedom because their leaders have never been human. Ever. Ever. China never had human leaders. Ever. Africa had human leaders. And up until 400 years ago, they have not had human leaders. Very few of Africa's leaders are humans, most of which are hybrids. If they are hybrids, that is the problem Africa faces. Your leaders are not human. Your military leaders, many of whom are not human. Your politicians, many of whom are not human. And from what I can gauge about the African leadership, is many of them are of the serpent bloodline. Now, there are the serpents who bring knowledge. Then there are the serpents who bring destruction. Look at your leaders. Do your leaders elevate the human population? Do your leaders elevate the human population? Magufuli was a human. What did they do to Magufuli? Patrice Lumumba was a human, 100%. What did they do to Patrice Lumumba? The issue with Africa, and I'm going to lose many of you with this, is you have to see. I am not saying invite anyone into your land. I am not saying Africa, invite foreigners into your land. And I'll tell you why. But I just want you to think outside of the box for a second. Your issue, Africa, for 3,500 years, this war has been launched against you. And for 3,500 years, you have been seeing this war as a human versus human war. Because the war, the agents of the war come to you in white skin and they look human. There are human Caucasians. The human Caucasians are not responsible for this. Are you following me? It is entities who are here on this plane. They are not human behind the veil. They brought you religion. Your Bible is not 100% correct because the Bible lawfully allows blood sacrifice. Any book that lawfully allows bloodshed, except in the rare case when you have to stop evil, is not 100% correct. The second atrocity that is causing the bloodshed by the entities who hide themselves in human suits is forgiveness.
Yes.
The African continent, before the invasion 3,500 years ago, never practiced forgiveness for wickedness. Yes,
That's
Princess Wary.
true.
Let's say it again. The African traditional spirituality never practiced forgiveness for wickedness. Forgiveness for mistakes, yes, we're human. You have to forgive for mistakes. But forgiveness for wickedness is not and has never been an African practice. What the Bible that was altered by these wicked creatures did is that they put in there, forgive wickedness. Why? Because it gives them a license to grow. It gives them a license to fester. It gives them a license to plot in secret, to give them a license. Now they are breaking ground, and the time is coming when you will see, because they're going to drop their human suits, and you're going to see these monsters that the human race, those sellouts who sold the human race out. Black people are not the only race they sold. They sold blacks to these extraterrestrials. That is why the bloodshed on the continent doesn't stop. Now we're seeing that Australia was sold. This is the second time Australia was sold. First, when the original people in Australia were decimated to found modern Australia. And now they sold the white race in Australia to these extraterrestrials. The second group, the third group they sold are the Caucasians in Europe. They've sold the Chinese, and the Chinese they are using the Chinese. And this is why Africa must be careful not to let any and everyone into your borders. Many of the Chinese are augmented with technology in them. Many of the Chinese are roboticized and they don't know. And they are hooked up to a grid for the day when the Chinese decide to take over Earth and they activate the Chinese weapon systems that look human. That is who you are letting in your borders, and you don't know. Is it the Chinese fault? No. But they have been highly augmented with technology to be Chinese super soldiers and spies for communist China. The Chinese people have been sold to these ETs. The Americans have been sold, and the Americans have been sold for a very long time, but now they're waking up. The problem with the Americans is that for the most part, they targeted mainly blacks first, Latinos, and a few whites. But now they're targeting everyone. America has been sold to the extraterrestrials. What they call the Great Reset. It is not a Great Reset. It is the Fourth Reich. And it is an ET takeover of planet Earth by the most wicked, godless, and cruel extraterrestrial races. And if humanity does not wake up and on one basis, unite as the human race, one thing, Africa, I know what they've done to you. I know, and I don't forget. But I am telling you this, even though it doesn't make sense now. I am telling you, Africa, on the basis for the survival of the human genetics, especially in Kenya. And Kenya has been targeted. Kenya and Ethiopia has been targeted. And the reason why they specifically targeted Kenya and Ethiopia and South Africa is a Nazi stronghold. Because the genetics in Kenya goes back millions of years. And in order for them to successfully take over planet Earth, they must crack the genetic code that belongs to the Kenyan, and in particular the Kenyan women. Is it beginning to make sense why the war on women is occurring in Kenya at the rate it is? On the basis of one thing, I am not saying invite people into your borders because Africa is too resource rich. But I say on the basis of survival, unite, cross the lines, protect your borders. Do not let any and everyone into your borders. Keep your traditional culture. That is good. But on the basis of survival of the human genome, unite across color lines on one basis for human survival, for mere human survival. I am going to tell you what I see that they are attempting to do. The only reason why it appears as if they're trying to destroy the white race is because they believe they gave the white race too much power. We know oppression. They have been oppressing us for 3,500 years. Actually, they landed on this planet 5,000 years ago. But we know their oppression since the fall of Kemet or Kamit. They've been oppressing us. 400 years, Berlin Conference, that's modern. They've been after the black race for 3,500 years. And I'm talking about these extraterrestrials. I'm not talking about white humans. But they are after the white race now because they believe the white race has too much power. And they believe in order to take over planet Earth, they must exterminate the white race. Many black people, because they don't understand the nature of this war, will say, yes, justice for what they did to us. And I ask you the question, if they've been oppressing you for 3,500 years since the fall of Kamit, do you think they're going to stop if they exterminate the white race? Are you following? Do you think these extraterrestrials that want our planet, a planet that was given to indigenous humans, do you think these wicked entities will stop if they successfully wipe out the white race? They are going to come after Africa. Are you understanding me? And the issue with Africa is that you're resource rich and they know that you have the strength to endure slavery. Are you understanding the nature of what we're fighting? Now, who are they? Now, you're going to laugh at me. But many of you who know your tribal history, who know the teachings of your Sangoma or your Shangoman or your voodoo priests will understand that I am not crazy. Many of you who have thoroughly read your Bibles or your Qurans will know that I am not crazy. The first race you are dealing with is a race that goes and dominates. That is the race that brought you bloodshed. Those are the reptilians, or who they call the Chitauri. Okay? But the Chitauri are not working alone. The Chitauri partnered with two other more powerful races, one of which are the insectoids. And you're going to laugh at me. And the other are the arachnids. Now, I'm going to show you in your Bible where Yahweh, those of you who are Christians, showed this was going on. Go to the book of Ezekiel. And in the book of Ezekiel, after Yahweh destroyed Jerusalem, he said to Ezekiel, "Son of man, come. I want to show you something." He said, "Dig through this wall." And Ezekiel dug through the wall. And he said, "Dig, dig. There's another door. Go dig." And Ezekiel dug again. And he entered this room. And when Ezekiel put on his candle, Ezekiel saw on the walls creeping and crawling things. Let me ask you, what species creep and what species crawl? Does anyone know in all of the animal kingdom what species are known for creeping and what species are known for crawling? Isn't it? Uh-huh. Isn't it insects, arachnids, reptiles?
Reptiles.
Yahweh said, "Son of man, this is what they are worshiping as gods." So when I tell you that the reptilians are working with the insectoids, who are working with the arachnids to wipe out the human race, I'm laughed at. But then I take you to your own scripture where Yahweh says they are worshiping insects, they are worshiping reptiles, they are worshiping arachnids and calling them gods. Now, let me show you in a practical sense how they got us into their net that Psalms 2 spoke about. Open your Psalms and read Psalms 2, where it speaks about a net. What are we communicating on? Aren't we communicating on an internet? Aren't we communicating through the internet? Where did they get this technology? And in order for us to communicate on the internet, don't you need access to a world wide web? Let me ask you, what species spins a web? Those of you from Ghana, you know about the arachnids because you have Anansi, the spider god in Ghana. Doesn't arachnids, spiders, spin a web? Why is it that when you go from web page to web page, they say you are crawling the internet? Why do they say when there's something wrong with your computer, it has a bug? Why? Because the technology is alien technology. And the aliens are calling in these contracts. Now, here is what I want to tell you. You can't just go and pray and fast. Anybody going to war must understand their enemy. In order to have any level of success, when you are fighting these entities, number one, you never confront the reptilian race head on. You will lose. They are at minimum 7 feet tall and 1,000 pounds. And they can run faster than a cheetah. You need to use discretion when you are going to war with the arachnids and the insectoids. Because by virtue of how they think and by virtue of how they structure their slave systems, now you understand where slavery comes from. Slavery is not a human concept. Humans do not enslave other humans. Aliens and hybrids do. Slavery was brought to planet Earth. When you confront or you're thinking about going to war with the insectoids or the arachnids, you cannot confront them head on because the arachnids and the insectoids use hive mind technology. And that hive mind is everywhere. Are you understanding? Okay. I will give you some secrets on how to conduct yourself. Rule number one, contracts. You must begin by breaking all spiritual contracts. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
You must verbally renounce and break all extraterrestrial contracts by name. That means the secret contracts of the reptilians and their bases in Africa. You must renounce it. The reptilians are responsible for what is going on in Libya and what is going on in La Palma, which is being sunken to destroy the reptilian base. Because the Africans that are held underground in Libya are transported to the Canary Islands where they are kept underground in La Palma and used for heinous experimentation, and that base was struck. That is what is going on in La Palma. I believe, from what I can see, something escaped. And what they had to do was destroy the entire underground base in order for it not to get into mainland Africa or mainland, more than likely mainland Europe. But the Africans who they were keeping and using for experiments that they keep underground in Libya were transported to La Palma in the Canary Islands and used for horrible experimentations with these undersea Draco bases. The first thing you need to do as an African is not pray and fast. The first thing you need to do is break these contracts with the reptilians who control Africa by virtue of the crown and the Rothschilds selling it to them.
Wow. I'm just speechless because We've been asking a lot of questions and we keep asking about this bloodshed. Of course, it's not normal. The African, and we keep saying most of the time, it is a curse. Are we cursed? What is going on? And people pray. And this is a continent where Maponga Joshua said the most people that pray a lot are Africans. But why this bloodshed? Children, mothers, girls, like the situation in Southern Cameroon's Princess Kimora, whom we are mourning today. I mean, how it's not just normal that this could just be normal human wickedness, and I think these are the stories that we of course we are hearing this. I just want us to watch a short video while you take a break of how the people went to the street and even the crowd that actually were mobilizing to say no, you have to kill all of us. And then we ask, what is the solution? Like you're saying, it is not just a spiritual thing, it is deeper than that. We've also seen the quality of leadership, some kind of weird structures that we ask a lot, where are we really heading to, particularly in this point of time? So let's take a video of how the Southern Cameroonians got up to the street to just cry the death of this princess that was shot. Kimora, rest in peace.
Okay.
I mean, we look at a situation like this, it happens every day on the continent where the young people, I mean, every little structure on the continent. I mean, I don't want to show some other images because they are really depressing enough to see our grandmothers, naked themselves and go out in the streets and like, we want to curse the land. And we're cursing these enemies among us, killing our people, killing each other. You see, these are two provinces or two countries in one from colonial history that came together. And now this kind of bloody attack. Where do we start from? Like you said, prayer and fasting will not even change anything. So how? What can we look at this situation in Cameroon and what will we say about it? Of course, Kenya, you already said about it, but this bloodshed and
Cameroon is not
particularly
Cameroon is not run by a human. I don't know how many more times I'm going to have to tell you guys this. Cameroon is run by serpents wearing human suits. Let me say it again. Perhaps I should say it in French. Cameroon is run by serpents wearing human suits. Let me say it in Spanish. Cameroon is run by serpents wearing human suits.
Spanish, yes.
Perhaps I should say it in German. Cameroon is run by serpents wearing human suits. You have to see beyond the veil.
Absolute.
You are only seeing in front of the veil. Even Jesus, when he stood in the temple, when he looked at the Sanhedrin, what did he call them? He said, "You brood of vipers." Why would he call them serpents? He said, "Your father is not Abraham. If your father was Abraham, you would have accepted me, because their father is the serpent." Africa, you are fighting serpents. You are fighting hybrids. Your leaders, if they have human genetics, they're killed. Any African leader that has 100% human genetics is murdered and replaced with a serpent. Mandela, when that thing walked out of prison, that was not Mandela. That was a serpent. Do you know Mandela is responsible for Bill Gates in Africa doing human experimentation on the Africans? Without Mandela, Bill Gates would not be in Africa putting microchips in Africans and hooking them up to the internet like he's doing in South Africa. So whenever a president gets in that they don't like, they turn on the signals in the bodies of the Africans, and the Africans start going crazy and burning down everything. Do you know Mandela is responsible? Because that was not Mandela who walked out of prison. Why do you think Winnie divorced him? Because it wasn't Mandela. It was a serpent. You keep crying over your leaders. You are crying over people who are not human. There are laws that govern humans. Humans do not murder children. Humans do not kill women.
Correct.
Humans have laws for war, meaning if you attack me, I attack you. Humans do not just roll out their military and kidnap people and blow their brains out. Humans do not have all the food and all the wealth, and their people, their citizens, have to walk on dusty roads with no proper school, does this look like human behavior to you? You are a human. I am a human. Do we act like this? No, we don't. No, we don't.
I share.
Because we are humans and they are not. You want to understand the killings? Understand the killings are being done by hybrids and non-humans. Humans do not rape. You are a human. Why is it you don't rape? Why is it I don't rape? Because we are humans and we are bound by a collective humanity. Why is it when people commit heinous atrocities, afterwards when you speak to them, they say something came over me?
Correct.
Why? Because something that was not a human came over them. Africa, you are crying in the wrong direction. You are crying at humans, violating humans, when it is not humans, non-humans, committing atrocities against humans. Your governments are being overtaken by these alien races. Your governments are being taken over by the serpent seed. Yes, the serpent seed exists. Now, there are serpents who bring the light, but that is not the serpent they worship. I am telling you, Jesus did not just stand in the temple, for those of you who follow Jesus, and call them a brood of vipers because he was having a bad day and his miracles weren't working. He called them a brood of vipers because that was who they were. Vipers, serpent race, a race that was anti-human, that has been seeded here and has been a thorn in the side of us humans. And now we are beginning to see how they really feel about us humans. Africa, you better wake up. and understand that you are not battling humans. And when you do, you will be liberated. Number one, break the contracts with the reptilians. Number two, I
How?
told you, if you climb up a tree, you can climb down. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
If you climb up a mountain, you can climb down. If the Bible says everything that is hidden shall be made known, we're in the hour where everything is being made known. How do you break it? If you are under blood covenants, you are under a contract with a reptile. If you make a contract or someone makes a contract for you, you can break that contract verbally. You can break that contract in writing. I do not adhere to any reptilian contract. Done. The second contract you must break is the contract with the insectoids. You want to understand the global reset where they want to put a microchip in you and hook you up to the internet? That is the insects. You want to understand the surveillance grid and the hive mind? That is the arachnids. You must verbally renounce and break these illegal contracts. Every day I wake up, I tell these races, this planet is not yours. E.T., go home. You want to understand why Africa is hated? Because they altered your ancient timelines. And they put you under non-human contracts. You must invoke human to human contracts. What does that mean? In all my relationship, I choose. I'm showing you how you invoke these contracts. In all my relationship, I choose to work with organic indigenous humans. Are you following? Meaning,
Yes.
what is a human? If you have to tell the person the 10 commandments, they're not human. Did you hear what I just said? If you have to tell someone, don't kill, they're not human, people.
Absolute. I agree. Yes. If you have to teach, no.
If you have,
Absolutely agreeing.
if you have to tell someone, don't cheat, they're not human. If you have to tell someone, don't lie, don't slander your neighbor, they're not human.
Ah, yay. I share.
Because a human, when a human is born, they already know the 10 commandments.
Absolutely.
They already know it. They already know the laws of God. They already, you don't have to tell a human, don't lie, cheat, steal. If they are breaking the basis of these laws, they are altered. So what do you do? The laws of Ma'at. Yes. So what do? You must invoke over your life and your family laws that govern humans. Now, let me explain something to you. If you choose to acquire power in this world, meaning you choose to move up the pyramid, I am not telling you don't aspire to become rich. I am not telling you don't aspire to become famous. I'm not telling you don't have aspirations and dreams. I am telling you the way this planet is structured, the higher up you go up this pyramid, the less human it becomes. And at some point in time, they will confront your humanity and ask you to give it up.
That's true. Absolutely.
Okay? So understand, I am not saying don't aspire to be rich or successful or fit, whatever. The higher up you go on the ladder on this planet, there will come a time when they will come to you and say, give up that humanity and replace it with one of them.
Mm,
And then you get into soul contracts, which is
mm,
something you do not give up. Are you
mm.
guys understanding? So these are the
Oh, yes.
basis. These are the basis of some of the contracts. Now I know, and I have to run, but I know there are people who are saying, "Oh, I'm talking foolishness and I'm this and that." Let me tell you
No,
something.
no, I don't think so, my goddess. No. I
No,
mean,
mm,
it's consciousness. It's the truth, like you said in the beginning. If anybody that thinks that you are spinning here, then they should question the reason why we are the way we are. It's simple.
that's
Just
because they choose to see on a lower level plane and they want to have an enemy on their level.
mm,
People want an enemy on their level. They don't want me coming there and telling them your enemy is way above your level because then they
mm,
can't do anything about it, so they think. Because it forces them to stretch what they believe. It
mm,
forces them to stretch and dig deeper into weapons. Let me tell you something.
mm.
I encountered the reptilian race with my own two eyes. I have seen flying saucers with my own two eyes. I encountered very powerful, working at the United Nations headquarters in New York, very powerful extraterrestrial race with my own two eyes. I was transported from one state into another state in under 5 minutes. In the middle of the night, I quantum jumped from Virginia to West Virginia, which is a 6 hour ride in less than 5 minutes. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
I have had to break reptilian mind control. Okay? And that is very difficult to break when they're standing in front of you, shifting from a human to 7 foot reptile, 1,000 pounds, solid muscle, and they are hypnotizing you with their eyes. And you're seeing them morph in front of you. Most humans don't survive. Okay? I have been in the presence of someone who went from 6'2" to 7 feet in under 10 seconds. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. And I am here in one piece and I've survived. Okay? I have had direct communication with extraterrestrials in their craft, and I didn't invite them, nor did I go looking for them. They told me where to be, and I was there, and they showed up, and I have witnesses. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. And one of the things they told me was this. They said to me, in the days to come, there is going to be a leader over earth. And Africa, I'm going to give you a key as to why they hate you. It is not because of Muhammad, and it is not because of Jesus. I'm going to give you a key. They told me in the days to come, there is going to be one leader over earth. They told me, do not trust nor believe this leader. They told me that the leader will have the genetics of the pharaohs, but it is not. This leader is not of the bloodline of the pharaohs. Listen to me carefully. The reason why Africa is hated is because you are the origin of all things. And you are also the origin of civilization, which they have buried and they hide under their museums. You are the origin, not Sumeria, not Babylon. You are. And you are the origin of civilization. And one of those great civilizations was Hamit, or what you call Kemet, which was overthrown by several different groups. They have been on the hunt for the pharaonic bloodlines to revive it. And they have broken the code of the pharaohs. And I was told this leader that will come, they will claim that this leader will be of the bloodline of the pharaohs, which it will not be. Do not trust nor believe this leader. If you want to understand why they're after Africa. Africa, you are the origin of mathematics. You are the origin of astrology. You are the origin of writing. It is not Europe. It is not Sumeria. It is not Babylon. It is you. The Lebemba bone, the Ishango bone was a calculator. You have Adam's calendar, smelting gold and iron and copper in southern Africa 150,000 years ago. You were smelting steel and copper in southern Africa. The origin of metallurgy is you. And then we get to genetics. The origin of where the human race of every color comes from is you. And with you, it will end. But you don't understand what you're fighting. You need to understand that your enemy, they're ancient and they are not human. I have to run. Be blessed. I don't like to say blessed, but be empowered. I wear this to remind you who you are. You know what this is. You Africans know what this means. And you know why you wear it around your neck. And you know what it symbolizes. It is on your pyramids. And to this day, the Yoruba, they wear it on their heads. The Maasai wear it on their necks. The Zulus wear it on their necks. And every African tribe has this in one shape or form. This, my friend, the code that they gave you using beads. Do you understand this code? This code is the human genome. This is what the human genetics look like under a microscope. You are the origin. Act like it. Thank you for having me on. I have to run.
Thank you so
Be
much.
empowered.
Thank you so much, my goddess. Thank you. Thank you for
You're
being with
welcome.
us to tell us actually what is the way forward. Thank
You're
you. We'll get
welcome.
in touch
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. It is a gift, and every continent at a point in time has always a gift and has a messenger. And I think we've all listened. We are here today asking questions: why the bloodshed? Why our women, our children, our babies are dying? Why are we doing this to our very self? Why do we hate each other so much? We are the race that people call that they don't work together. They don't love each other. They don't trust each other. They break each other down. But deep down in us, when we look at our spirituality, the way we grow up, we see love, we see harmony, we see peace, we see culture, we see music, we see everything that makes a human. But like the goddess said, when you move a step, you just realize the more you climb, that it means the more materialistic we are, the more we take of the things of the planet that we are, then we become not human. And so we can kill each other, we don't feel the pain. We can break each other, we don't feel the pain. We can burn our villages down, like the situation in Southern Cameroon. We can rape and kill our mothers. We can kill our sisters. We can even kill our wives and ourselves. And it means nothing to us. I am thanking the Creator, and I'm thanking all of us that we've been asking these questions. Let's face the fact. We have been saying there's something that is just not normal. We talk, our leaders don't listen. It's something is happening, they're struggling on their own. What is it? We know how many times that we've hosted guests, top guests on the Pan-African Daily, and each and every, even the young people, all the problem of Africa is the Africa Union, it is the leadership, the countries themselves. You have a president, there is war in your country, and you've never addressed it. A father of a nation, and we know who our fathers are. We are the ones that say, "Oh no, we're killing our own people. We're incarcerating them." And you see a son talk to a father, a daughter talk to a father, and they don't listen. begin to ask, what is wrong? It is very obvious that we know that there's something that is not just right, but we don't know. And we blame and turn the circles and blame each other. The situation that happened with Princess Kimora, like I said in the beginning, I don't know where to blame the guy. I have the pain so much in my heart that I forgive him. Just the pain too much. Same thing, I look at the situation with Kimora. You know, the pain is there and you don't have any choice. You're just like, he's not normal. That's not a human being. And we say it all the time. So, does it make sense what the goddess has been saying? You can call it forces of darkness. You can call it unforeseen forces. In the Bible, they say that we're not fighting humans, we're fighting principalities of darkness. Is it what she's talking about? Yes. So we see human shapes and forms. Most of us are just human bodies. And for you to remove a gun and take off the head of a child, okay, you were targeting something. Why do you even think for you to take a knife and kill the same mother, the same woman that you sleep with every night, that you cuddle with? Something is wrong. Africa, I don't need to tell us anymore. I think we have the messenger, and if we get the message, we get it. If you want to translate it into a spirituality, you want to translate it the way you understand the Bible, you want to translate it the way the Quran tells you. But one thing is certain, that on the planet Earth, we are not on our own. There is a creator, and he can break all this terrestrial or whatever darkness that we have. If we would go beyond these forces and just embrace and love ourselves and look at ourselves and say, why are we even fighting? Who are we actually fighting? And break those contracts. In the church, they say they do vigils and they say, you know, they're breaking the yoke. The yoke, what is that? So you can say it in every form, but it makes sense. It makes one sense that nothing is wrong with us. Something happened to us. And probably the people we are really thinking that they are enemies. It's just more than that. So I want to thank all of you. I said I was going to open the lines. Tomorrow we're going to have another guest. It's actually from the Southern Cameroons. He was here with us, a conscious Pan-African, also in the spirituality format that thinks it is not normal. Who are we fighting? Who are those we actually call our enemies? In the human race, black, white, purple, green, whatever. Who are actually those we call enemies, right? So we would have Mbanda Achu. He was here us, and he'll be our guest for tomorrow. We are still on the Spirituality Week 2021. We'll be having a lot of guest speakers. Elder Robert Headley, who is here in the chat with us, is going to be one of those speakers. Coming from a spirituality point, he says Africa is the paradise, the Garden of Eden, and every beautiful thing. That's why this continent was so blessed. But why is there bloodshed? The question is, why? How do we kill each other? And we just heard it. A human cannot kill a human. It's something else. And in the psychological or academic world, they say it's a trauma. Trauma means you're not a game, so you're not fully 100% human. So there's something that went wrong. I want to thank all of you who signed in tonight. And I hope that we begin to get an understanding so that we can pull together, unite, and break these contracts. Whether you're praying in the churches, now you understand the point of principalities and darkness, these forces that come in human forms and break us. It's not human. We say it like she said. We call it witchcraft. And we look at it and say it's hate. Your brother will hate you so much. Your husband will hate you so much, to kill you, to shoot a child, to burn villages, to rape and incarcerate people, and there's no feeling? How? How? No feeling. Apart and no feeling. And yesterday there was something, harmony. Now, there is something. And we have work to do. Yes, but the bloodshed will not intimidate us. But she said something about the bloodshed. And that bloodshed is, they like it. They drink blood. It is true. Blood is in the Bible. They say life is in the blood. So if the people that want your land to water them with blood, so they're thirsty, they want to drink blood. Humans don't drink blood. So what is the war for? Shedding blood. And we keep saying how much blood. For who, actually? We need to pray, break those contracts, meditate. And so tomorrow we're going to continue on the spirituality week. And at the end of the week, we're going to, like the elders are saying, King Bongane is saying the same thing. Baba Maponga is saying, and all the elders that will be coming this week, they're saying the same thing. We need cleansing. We need to break something. It's not right with our continent. We can see it politically or economy or children dying of hunger. Wait, some things. A continent that is so blessed and rich, and we ask ourselves all the time, all the gold and the diamond and everything, until we have to trade with others or exchange, and they grow fatter and prosperity and protect their homes and their children and that, and us that are the breadcrumbs of this. Now, we need to pray. We need to meditate. We need to break those contracts. I want to thank you so much. And yes, they are vampires, like we say. Thank you so much, Naisha. I want to thank you for bringing us this guest, because like you do the research, what topic would actually chill down the pain in the heart of the Cameroonians that are mourning their daughter? What is the pain that will console you, Kenyans, you Ethiopians that are at war? All of us in the human race, be it the white or the purple or the green, what is it that we keep saying global peace? But then we shed blood, we build weapons. What? I hope the Creator gives us the grace to understand more. But one thing that we know, humanity means sharing love, being and feeling for somebody. The moment you don't, you're not watching us, you're not here because of one reason or the other. I saw how human we Africans and even well-wishers, and not only Africans in the black skin, so all the global is Africans, whether the white skin Africans or the purple skin or the yellow skins or the black skin Africans. Yeah. Now we know what we're dealing with, particularly our continent. Yeah, they declare war on us. It's the same thing, Brother Leo. You're saying they declare war on us. It's the same thing the people in Southern Cameroon are saying. They declare war on us. How can war on people? So it's not normal. So now we look at our leaders, sometimes we say, are they crazy? What is wrong? The young people, the rioting on the streets, the placateer, every day, Africa, wake up. And we never knew who are these that we're dealing with. And we blame each other. We blame the leadership. We blame the corruption. We blame everything. And we used to say there's something more than this. Is this the time? Let us pray. Let us be united so that we can put our energy together. I don't think these contracts that she's saying, or these principalities of darkness, the serpents, these vampires, would be broken by just one person. We need to unite and have a collective force and a unity. And I think it is our time. If not, we will not be doing this. It is Africa's time. So we tell our sister in Cameroon, weep not. Weep not. Game is over. We are uniting. Mothers, weep not. We have to come together, not hate one another, not be jealous of one another, a sister against a sister, mother against daughter, son against, husband against wife. So we see that the reptilians have divided us and we keep knocking each other and we wonder why. So I want to bless you tonight, and I want to thank all of you that signed in today. We are going to continue on African Mourns Have Fallen Heroes for 1 week non-stop, like we did for His Excellency late President Magufuli. We're going to sit here every night and talk to ourselves and get the energy, what we should be doing. But today was the opening, and we saw that. And I think tomorrow we're going to continue in this very spirit. Thank you so very much, and good night to you. Weep not. We know that it's not against us. It's against the forces that we must break. So good night. Asante sana. We see ourselves tomorrow. Bye.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.